What was it like? What did the studio do when you guys went and got married? Didn't they make kind of a production out of it and also give you a helping hand, so to speak?
They gave a very big helping hand. I did tell you about that.
Yeah.
When we decided that we were going to get married, I said, well, Bill, honey, I think we should get a little house someplace, and maybe we could buy one even. And he said, well, that's fine, Barb, but look around. So I found one, and I went to the studio, and Bill was doing a picture called Deadline at Dawn with Susan Hayward. And I said,
very good picture.
I said, Willie, come outside and sit with me for a minute. I've got very good news. And he said, wonderful, I'll be right out. So he came out, and we were sitting there outside the studio, and he said, what do you want, hon? I said, I found a house. It's just darling, honey. It's just wonderful. He said, and? I said, how much money do you have? He said, oh, gosh, I don't know, maybe $500. He said, how much do you have, and why are you asking about how much money? I said, I'll tell you later. I said, I have about, I think $250 saved. And he said, good heavens. I said, yeah, well, let me tell you the rest, Bill. We have to have $6,000 by 5 o'clock tonight. He said, you're out of your mind, Barb. I said, no, we have to have it. That's what I have to, that lady that sells the house said that's what I have to have. So to make a long story short, he went to the studio on his lunch hour and borrowed on our contracts the $6,000. And that's what Alan is saying. They helped us a great deal, because when later on, when we decided we were getting married and we told the studio, as we left here to go back home, to my home to get married, they said, you don't owe a mortgage anymore, honey. They took the mortgage off, so that was the biggest thrill, I think, of my life.
You know, everyone, a lot of these retrospectives say how awful the studios and the moguls were. Well, here's an example where it wasn't that way. And the other thing is that our friend Dick Erdman always told me, I never went to college, I went to the University of Warner Brothers. And I think, Barbara, you went to the University of RKO. Exactly, exactly.
You know, I learned so very much. I had been going to art school in Chicago, and when I went into the studio, I was able to go into the art department and watch the men and women work. I was able to go where they build these big columns and statues for the movies and watch them do that and help them. They'd let me help. And then I got to know Eddie Silverman, who was head of the fashion wardrobe for women. It was lovely. It was a paid education. I was so blessed, as I have been all my life. Really, truly, it was just wonderful.
Yeah.
It was very different than it is today, I must say. Today they don't have the studios like they did then. Today everybody is independent, and most of the shooting is done out of town, truthfully, because of our tax situation in California.
Yeah.
But it was a lovely experience, and it always has been.
You know, the acting fraternity is really a unique, tight fraternity, particularly back then. And I remember there was an episode, I think, in Lady Luck with Robert Young and Jimmy Gleason, where they kind of came to your aid. Why don't you share that one with us?
Well, in Lady Luck, I played a lady that gambled, and I won, like, the whole studio, the whole
jackpot,
house,
yeah,
or what have you. No, this wasn't jackpot.
No, but we won the whole Lollapalooza, I guess.
Yeah, and so I'm at the gambling table with about 200 extras all around, 200 extras, and Bob Young, Robert Young, Frank Morgan, Jimmy Gleason were all standing around with me to congratulate this young lady that had won everything. And we had just come back from lunch, and I had quite a monologue to give in the first scene that we were going to shoot. So the director said, all right. He said, how about, this is a take. All right, are everybody ready? Everybody, and he was, like this theater, he was at the end, over at the end of the theater.
Like on a boom or something like that?
A big stage,
Yeah.
and he was up high in the corner. Anyway, and he's up there with his microphone and said, okay, this will be a take. And I said, excuse me, sir. I said, this was the first picture, excuse me, that they had given me the lead. So I was a little bit shy about having it, and I'm trying to be very polite. And I said, could I please have a rehearsal, just one? And he said, oh, well, if you must, I guess we can all put up with it. You see, he didn't care for me very much because he had a sweetheart that he wanted to do my part, and the studio insisted that I do it. So anyway, to make a long story short, when he said that, Bob Young stood up by me, put his arm around me and said, very loud so everybody could hear. He said, well, that's all right, Barbara. And he looked at the director. He said, someday you'll have a good director. And walked up. Frank Morgan stepped over, put his arm around me and said, I couldn't agree more with Bob. You'll have a good one someday. And off he went. Then Jimmy Gleason said, right on, fellas, I'm with you. And the three of them walked off the stage and would not shoot until the director came from up where he was and in front of the 200 extras until he apologized to me, which showed how much, we all got along. We all still do get along. It's a wonderful industry, and it's difficult, it isn't all that glamour that they talk about, I must say.
Yeah.
But it's great fun. It's an education that I will respect and be glad for all my life. I've met people I never would have met,
Such as your roles in the 50s when you left RKO, you were in Jolson Sings Again. And in talking about that, I wasn't aware of this, that you did a stage show with the great Al Jolson.
Yeah.
What was it like being with the great Jolie?
Oh, he was on set all the time. I don't know if many of you have seen it, but Larry Parks represented Jolson in the show. And Jolie did all of the singing and all of the work on it. And then Larry would mimic him, It was a very difficult job, and he did a wonderful work on it. But when the show finished, can I tell this?
Sure.
When the
Let
show
it rip.
finished, we had a showing for all of the people that worked on it, and it was lovely, and I was very thrilled. Al Jolson and his wife were there, and I played his wife in the movie. So I went over to Miss Jolson and I said, Earl, her name is Earl, and she was very sweet, a beautiful woman. And I said, excuse me, ma'am, but I said, how did you like the part that I did? Did I do all right for you? And she said, oh, honey, I thought you were just fine. She said, but tell me, why did they make you talk like that? I laughed. It's true. That's a true story. Anyway, Al was wonderful to work with. We did 7 days in New York of 7 theaters, 1 a day. And we did 4 shows in each theater. Remember when they had a live show vaudeville between the movies, you know? Well, that's what we did between each movie. Al would go out and sing. And I tell you, it was hysterical because they couldn't get him off the stage. He loved to sing, and everybody loved him.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
You ain't seen nothing. No, it was great fun.